welcome Joe and Luke to the inaugural LinkedIn Live sessions here at ILTACON 2025. So why don't you start with a little bit of an intro? I mean, I know both of you very well. You're two of my favorite humans. So why don't we start with you, Joe?
It'll be so much more fun to put you on the spot and have you do our intros. Totally unscripted. No, I'm just kidding. I'm Joe Green. I'm Chief Innovation Officer at Gunderson Detmer. I was a practicing lawyer for a bunch of years. Worked at Thomson Reuters for a bit, which I know all of us have in common, and then came back to Gunderson to build out an innovation function in 2020.
Awesome.
Luke Kopmeyer, Innovation Technology Manager at Gunderson. Currently work for him. Used to work for you at Thomson Reuters and IQ. And that's why I think they brought me to Gunderson, was to help build IQ out for them.
And many other things.
Yeah, but started with IQ and kind of moved into some other stuff.
Excellent, cool. So I thought when we started to think about what we would talk about today, I want to cover a couple of topics: pace of change, market forces, client demands. But, you know, at the moment, it is ridiculous. How do you guys keep up with the pace of change in terms of what's expected of you as an innovation team, how you operate, what goes through your strategic roadmap when everything is changing month by month, week by week, hour by hour?
It is a challenge. I will admit, it is a challenge. The pace is kind of mind-blowing right now.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I got into this, I went to Gunderson in the first place. I mean, Gunderson's a firm that exclusively focuses on the innovation economy.
Okay.
We work with venture-backed startups and venture capital firms.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's our core and really only business. And so I like talking to new companies that are doing new, exciting things.
Yeah.
And so that piece of it, the kind of horizon scanning and hearing what people are doing and keeping tabs on products as they develop that are young and kind of growing and pivoting, I love that stuff. So it doesn't feel like a burden. But the strategic planning around that is becoming increasingly challenging.
Yeah.
We have a whole bunch of products in our tech stack that we bought with a kind of very specific value proposition in mind. Here's the problem that this solves for us. It was solving it well. We were kind of growing with them. Venture capital money started flooding into the space, and now everybody is trying to build everything or building into each other quite a lot, which from a user perspective becomes very confusing. From a cost perspective, it becomes hard to justify, and so I think that's one of the big challenges that a lot of firms are facing right now as they kind of make these decisions. It's very hard to make any kind of long-term plan around this because who knows what next year looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I think I spend a lot of time talking to sort of friends in the industry and sort of particularly people in innovation functions who are close to their lawyers, as opposed to sort of the old school IT where you'd be given a new desktop with a new application to do a thing, you'd do 17 hours of training and you'd be, hey, I'm using a new PC. That context switching between those tools that are sort of blurring the lines between each other, it's hard enough for you guys. How are you sort of working with your lawyers and the people that you're sort of servicing to help them cope with the pace of change? You mentioned that you're interested in it, so that's good.
Yeah.
But actually, how does that translate to what you do for your lawyers?
Well, I mean, take Luke, right? Like, you've got, I don't know how many tools that you can use to build
So many.
a specific...
I get to play with so many things. It is so fun.
And when you're talking to our lawyers and they have an issue, one of the big things that we have to do is come back and just kind of like take a look at all the things that we have in the toolbox and say, like, how are we gonna what's best place to solve this problem? So we kind of try to abstract that away, I think, from the lawyers, and then we sort of deal with that on our side. But I mean, you spend a lot of time talking to our lawyers about all the stuff that they're facing.
And that's one of my favorite parts of the job. Like, luckily for me, I don't have to worry about the strategic planning as much, which I think is the hard part. I get to do the fun part because I get to play with all the toys and get to listen to stories. And my favorite thing to do is and you saw this at HiQ, he sees this now, I like to be creative and solve problems in ways that really haven't been solved before. And so that's the fun part to me. And now we have this tech stack that Joe just is like, go play. And we get to just build things and, cliche word, but we get to innovate, with fun technologies.
I mean, I think that was the thing. I mean, so when we were building out the team back in the HiQ days of what we would call our client success team, one of the sort of foundational aspects, apart from needing to be good humans, which you are, it was that curiosity, that drive to sort of deliver for a customer, whether it be the lawyers or the clients or whatever that might sort of focus on. So how do you bring that into Gunderson? as opposed to sort of thinking about how do you grow that function? How do you spread that kind of culture of experimentation? Because traditionally lawyers are a little bit risk averse in terms of where they are, but actually that's changing now because they have to change. Yeah. But how do you sort of start spreading that sort of, we want to try stuff? I mean, obviously you said that you're sort of a bit of a forward-thinking, sort of tech-focused organization. Yeah. So this may be more natural for you guys, but what are the tips that you can do for other teams building out innovation functions, looking for good people, apart from poaching Luke, obviously?
He's ours. Leave him alone. Yeah, I mean, in terms of building out the innovation team and getting kind of the right, type of people, we look for people like Luke. We look for people who are creative, curious, willing to just dive into something and learn. Yeah. We're not looking for people who have like all the certifications and all the already know, kind of the way to do things, because again, this stuff changes so fast. Yeah. New things are coming online all the time. So we really kind of emphasize curiosity and kind of openness. Someone who's willing to kind of like, here's what we have in mind for your job, but like, how would you write this job spec? What would you like to be doing? How can we enable that so that you wake up every day and are kind of happy, to come do your job? On the attorney front, we are blessed by the fact that all of the attorneys who work at Gunderson self-selected to work with tech companies and startups, and so have a little bit of a different mindset than attorneys at many, but they're still attorneys, and they're busy, and change is hard. And so, I mean, I think the things that we found to be successful, I mean, one, trying to make things as intuitive as possible, but two, just staying in front of people. It's one of the things we struggle with a bit, because a lot of us are builders. We spend a lot of time building, and it's a full-time job to be able to like stay in front of people and be hands-on and kind of like look at how they're working. And we haven't quite cracked that nut yet, but we're trying to do a better job of it.
Cool. So we've lasted, I don't know how long we've been going for, but we haven't mentioned the word AI.
That's impressive.
Agents.
We deserve an award.
Exactly.
11 minutes.
Exactly. There we go.
11 minutes.
But we have inferred the pace of change around what's going on, the market, the money that's coming into legal tech at the moment. How do you see things playing out in terms of the adoption and the maturity of the technologies that you guys are working with? Some of them are early stage, some of them are bigger. I mean, even the big ones are early stage. But what do you look for? How do you sort of take those formative sort of products and then turn them into something that means something to you and your lawyers?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's the $64 million question. I feel like right now.
That's a higher number. It's not the $64 million question.
That's a lot of inflation.
$64 billion question.
A lot of inflation has happened since. So I was on a panel yesterday with our friends from Deep Judge. Yana Kilcher is their CTO, and we were talking about, he has sort of a nice way of kind of breaking down the evolution of AI from kind of simple prompting to prompt engineering to kind of like building up to this kind of agentic era that we're entering. And the comment I made is I feel like we're sort of actually in the age of tools. Yeah. A lot of the things that where I think the most exciting things are kind of happening in the space now is taking these amazing underlying capabilities, putting them into no-code, low-code interfaces that let subject matter experts, kind of get more hands-on on solving like specific problems more repeatably. And then I think the age of agents is giving that to an agent that can use tools and having all of these tools kind of built out. And I think like we're sort of bringing users along on that journey as well, where when we launched a kind of chat RAG application in 2023 to our entire firm. And a lot of people were kind of paralyzed by that chat box. They were like, I don't know what to do with this thing. What are you putting there? Where's the instruction manual? Other people tried one thing that was a terrible thing to ask an LLM to do, and were like, well, this is horrible. It's broken. I'm never going to use this again. But now, as we kind of show, like, hey, no, here are all the things that it can do when you put a little bit of, kind of thought and engineering behind it. You're bringing people along to kind of understand, like, how best to use this technology, and it's only going to get better. It's only going to get easier. And, right now, I think it's still going after a lot of the low-hanging fruit, a lot of the stuff that's just, nobody wakes up in the morning wanting to do the drudgery that is part of much of our daily work lives. And so, the more of that we're kind of, cutting out even bit by bit, even if it's each individual thing isn't like the most mind-blowing thing in the world, like, cumulatively, that really adds up.
Yeah, but it's so much more effective, though. Just that one thing, it's so much more effective than having a lawyer just go to ChatGPT and try to put in a prompt and try to do the same thing, because what I've learned, at least, and I don't want to speak for other people, but in this AI journey is like how important prompting actually is.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
like we're working on a project that we are just continually iterating on our system prompts, and being able to do that for the lawyer and have the AI actually do what we intend it to do and what they want it to do,
Yeah.
I think it's just so much more effective. So just breaking it out into those little pieces, it just helps it, and it also helps adoption because it works.
Yeah, I mean, we see on our side sort of that drive for orchestration.
Yeah.
So it isn't just the AI tool; it's the other systems that it needs to interact with, the integrations, the flow of data. You know, that's the thing that's really driving that modality of sort of an attorney going to a chat interface and getting something right. You know, to your point, the prompts are the sort of the secret sauce, if that makes sense, and how you chain them together, and it's more engineering. And so ultimately what we're seeing is attorneys that might not necessarily need to see that, but they want the output, and the output's the important bit, and it's been crafted and brought together by a team of smart people with different skills to the other smart people that are going to use it, but layering it into that sort of phased workflow kind of approach where there's a blend of agentic and deterministic processes that sort of determine how you get from A to B and what does that look like. So, you know, you guys are at the forefront of that, and I think there's only sort of more to be. I mean, it's not going to stop. It's going to be constant. Question for you guys: How much do you see potential for those kind of tools to not be lawyer facing? It's the operational side of the business. Is that something that you're focused on, or is it just sort of the innovation within the lawyer facing tool set?
No, we take a very holistic approach to innovation. We work really closely with a lot of our other business functions, finance, marketing, talent, I mean, honestly, what we do is we help solve legal problems.
Yes.
We help, deliver legal services. Everything that we do behind the scenes, whether it's the lawyers, whether it's the business professionals, it all feeds into it, right? And into the business being strong and providing a good end product. And there's tons of opportunities on the business side. Tons of opportunities on the business side.
Oftentimes, I think it's sort of that side is sort of not forgotten about, but it's sort of, it comes second or third or fifth type thing. And I think I see tremendous, 50% of the conversations I've had this week about orchestrating AI and bringing, it's all been about business operations. And it's how do we not just make something 20% more effective and efficient, how do we then layer that and make it smarter to make it 40, 50%? And so, it's an interesting journey that we're on. Chaps, always an absolute pleasure to chat. Two of my favorite humans. Actually, maybe not. But thank you very much for saying. There it is.
There it is.
But I didn't call you a name or anything. But guys, thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. Cheers, Joe. Cheers,
Really
Luke.
fun. Thanks
Take
for
it
having
easy.
us.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Bye.